Hey, how y'all doing today? This is Nate, Chris, and Brennan. We're all back. This is the rule of
Got the
thirds.
Welcome,
band
yo,
back
guys. I'm
together.
back,
We
man.
got
I'm
the
back.
band back
I
together.
know you guys
Yeah.
missed me, of course, so I am back here. I am back. What's up, guys? How is it going? How's it going, people?
It's nice to all be a group again.
So,
It's beautiful.
in Brennan's absence, Nate and I have reviewed Loki episodes 5 and 6.
Right.
I'm anxiously awaiting to hear, Brennan's thoughts on the last two episodes. And I
Man,
think I think that would be a good segue then into kind of do a series recap. But Brendan, I got a question for you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who did you think was in the castle or the little building at the end of episode 5? Who did you
Who did I
think?
think it was? I thought
Who
it
did
was
you think it
classic
was?
Loki that was in the building because
Really?
yeah, I did. I did.
Why? Why? How? Why? Go ahead, please.
Well, I thought it was two. Actually, there's two different people I thought was, and one of them ended up being like the more obvious one. But one of them was I thought it was Kang the Conqueror, because there's been many hints and like just like Easter eggs dropped like about him throughout the entire series. But like the reason I thought it was classic Loki was just because like dude was just like like he just had that weird moment before he like got eaten
Goliath.
by Goliath. You're right.
Goliath. Yeah.
Oh, Goliath. Right. It's Goliath.
Yeah, no G.
He just like was just like laughing like evilly, and like it just I felt like I don't know, like it was just very interesting, like almost like he wanted to kind of get captured. I don't know if it was like it just gave me like this really weird eerie feeling about him. To the point like it's just like why did he go like that? Like I felt like maybe he's gonna pop up saying like, hey, like it's actually me, like it's gonna be like another variant in control the entire time, and it was gonna be like him. You know what I mean? Like so like I had like that like weird suspicion just because of the way he died. Like he was just like, first of all, and he's super strong. Like he over here like cascaded like an imagery of Asgard. Like this guy's like obviously very strong in like mystic arts. So like he's not like a scrub or anything. So I was just like, and when he like was like laughing very hard and like or laughing evilly before Eliath like consumed him, I just thought it was really suspicious, honestly. But the other one was like definitely Kang. I definitely thought it would be him because there's been so many like just Easter eggs dropped about him, and like I've been like doing a lot of research on like kind of like Kang the Conqueror and like kind of like the comics, and like just there's so many things like just even dating back to like Renslayer and like how like she's supposed to be like kind of his lover in the comics, and like so she's like in the series as like the judge at the beginning when Loki gets captured by the TVA. You have that aspect of it. You have like like I'm trying to think of like other just like clues that kind of point to him, but like that was like one of the big things that I kind of had a feeling like he might be involved in behind the scenes, and so that was like my second guess. I'm trying to think of like just other things that I thought like clued to him. Like I'll get back to you on that, but that was like the two main things that I kind of figured as to who it was behind in the castle there.
Okay. Nate, that was the one question I wanted to ask Brennan. What do you there's got to be a glaring question you got for him. You and I went back and forth for 2 different episodes. There's got to be a glaring question you want to ask Brennan.
If I had to think of we'll just go I would mine would be out of all the Lokis that were portrayed. Who was your favorite Loki that they actually portrayed in the series?
Good question.
Who was my favorite Loki that what?
Out of all the Lokis in the series so far, who was your favorite?
Oh. My favorite one, I love Sylvie. I love Sylvie. I love her so much. I really do. I do. I'm not gonna lie. She's just the best. I don't know. Like I don't know if it's like her personality or what it is, but she's just the best to me. Like at first I was like okay, like she's cool, but like she just grew on me, man. And maybe it's like Tom Hiddleston and they're like Tom Hiddleston's character, like obviously regular Loki and like Sylvie's like interaction with each other that was like so good, but like just I don't know. I just liked her powers were cooler. I just felt like her fact that she could enchant people's mind and help them see like a vision of their past was really cool. And like she was just like more just brash than all the other Lokis. Like she wasn't like conniving and like backstabby. Like she was just very like direct to the point. Like I don't know. I enjoyed her. I honestly felt like she was my favorite in the group. Outside of just like, regular Loki. I gotta love Tom Hiddleston's character. He just plays him the best. I can't, every time he's on screen, it's just wonderful. But I have to say Sylvie, she was great. Honestly, I thought like her actor was wonderful. I hope to see her again. Like she was great. She did like an amazing job. I have to say she's my favorite.
Interesting. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I think,
Kid Loki a little bit because he's just like, yeah, I killed Thor. I'm just like, okay.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this guy's kind of legit. like I was like, okay, kind of liked him. He was just like, yeah, I killed Thor. That's why I'm here. I'm like, okay, all right. Like, like you're in prison. Everyone's just like, what are you in for? And he's like the biggest guy in the prison. Like he's just like, yeah, I killed the like you know what I mean? Like that's what it reminded me of. Just like, what are you in it for? And he's just like, oh, like robbing a bank. He's just like, oh yeah, I killed somebody. Like it's like, yeah, I killed Thor. This was just like crazy to me, but yeah. But I'd have to say Sylvie to me.
All right, I think that's a good point. And I'll say, Brendan, anything else you want to say to kind of get caught up with episode 5 and 6? Anything that stuck out to you in those 2 episodes? Well, I don't want to ask. I don't want to ask that question because there's a lot. I know there's a lot.
No, I'm like trying to think about episode 5 and like everything that happened. Honestly, I was just really happy to see freaking Mobius again. Like he's just the best. Like I'm just glad to see him, and it just made me happy that he wasn't like pruned to death because like that was one of the saddest deaths. I don't
Shout out to Owen Wilson. Shout out to Way to go, man.
Wow.
Like literally one of the like he was so good, so freaking good. I can't even explain it. He was just wonderful, brilliant. Like and like when he got pruned, it was like one of the saddest moments in that series, man. Like I was just like, dang, like the way she just did him dirty, like so quick like that. I was glad to see him. But yeah, like I mean, episode 5 was just good. I mean, got to see some like development between, Sylvia and Loki, and like I'll dive into that a little bit more with like episode 6. But it like that also brought on like probably like the second saddest moment in the series, to be honest. Like I was like really like, dang, like my heart's like feeling for them right now. So like but you kind of saw a little bit about that in like episode 5, just like kind of like their like relationship building, and like how like in episode 6 it kind of like elaborated on that a little bit more. But yeah.
Okay. I think now's a good point to kind of start to look back. We had 6 episodes, 51 minutes long,
right,
for each one.
Yeah.
Some of them were a little bit shorter. Some of them were kind of
47, 46, something like that. 51, 54, somewhere around that. 6 episodes. There was a lot to unpack. And I'll even, look at this on a grander scale. This is the, 3rd Marvel Disney Plus streaming series. What? And I don't have anything scripted or anything like that, but I just kind of want to ask you. And I hate to do this, but it's going to come up anyway. So let me get it out the way. Let me go ahead and get it out the way. Okay, we had WandaVision. We had Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now we did wrapped up on Loki. Go ahead, y'all. Tell me. Put them in order. Go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do it because we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway, right?
I'll go first, second, third here. So first,
go ahead.
Probably Loki. I'll even get a bit of reason behind each one.
Go
Loki,
ahead.
from what I've seen on the series, has the biggest implication on the future of the universe.
Right,
I agree. Whole cinematic
universe. I agree 100%.
100%. I think that's why I really liked about it.
Second would be, for me, WandaVision. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier. I liked all of them. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was really, really good. But for me, it was the least exciting in terms of how it changes the whole MCU in itself. Like, while the other ones seem like with Wanda essentially becoming a nexus point for all of magic, essentially, in WandaVision, and the Loki series literally splitting the timelines up into an infinite source of timelines and introducing perhaps the next big bad for the series for a couple years.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier told a really good story. And that kind of feels like, yes, obviously, like Sam Wilson takes over the mantle of Captain America, but that just doesn't feel like it has the same type of implications of splitting the timeline and or becoming a nexus point for all the magic and being also a big future point for essentially the multiverse of madness. So both of them are major features for the up and coming MCU, while Sam Wilson Captain America is gonna just he's gonna be Captain America. He's gonna be in those universes. They're kind of just affected in a way.
Right.
Great story, but it just doesn't feel like it's on the same scale as the other ones. Which I'm a scale guy.
I feel that.
I got you.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that, Nate. I'm with you on that.
Go ahead, Brennan.
I would have to put Loki first, and for all the reasons that you said, Nate. Honestly, at the very end of this show, it just felt like it had the biggest implications. 100%. The whole show, just talking about the timeline and messing up the timeline, branch timeline, and it just felt this show really is gonna affect the MCU universe forever. It will never be the same. I really genuinely felt like this show, especially when you just saw the statue at the very end, you're like, yo, things are different now. Things are different. Immediately, you're like, yo, things are different now, and that's just what I felt and what I got from Loki, and that on top of just I don't know, that with. I don't know, the timeline. I feel like that's just the main thing. It's just the big implications of, that it has on the MCU. And in terms of second, I would probably have to go with probably WandaVision 2. Honestly, because I'm a person Nate, like you said, I'm backing everything you're saying, because it's just I'm a person that likes intertwinedness of different shows and movies. And I just feel like Loki and WandaVision, well, I know Loki and WandaVision are going to be impacted, are going to impact Multiverse of Madness and all the series in the future. We know that obviously, Wanda's supposed to be in Loki, not Loki, in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Who knows if whatever happened in Loki, and Loki apparently is going to be a season 2, what happens, and how that affects the Multiverse of Madness. I feel all of that, how that affects Spider-Man Far From Home. I love Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I feel on a larger scale of things, that only really affects Falcon and Winter or Captain America and Winter Soldier 2, the movie when that comes out. But I feel these two shows have greater implications on future shows and the movies. So I definitely have to go with Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I would say even with Loki, even with King the Conqueror happening, with that whole opening up in the multiverse, King is not the biggest threat. That's what I say. I feel he's gonna be the new big bad for a few years. But that whole Multiverse of Madness, if that really has something to do with now that the whole universe is open, if they bring in mutants, if they literally bring in Cthulhu from that, Cthulhu is a much bigger threat than King is. Even with all of King's technology and time traveling and all that shenanigans, Cthulhu could just if he somehow comes in it, he can just literally erase him from existence. You don't get a starting point. You don't get an ending point. You don't ever even get to exist. Gone. He's someone King is someone who can travel to different multiverses, but he's not a multiversal strength being who can literally affect multiverses from his own home, like a Dormammu or something like that. He's not on that level of a being.
Right.
He just has a really advanced tech, and he's like from the future, and he's super smart. And he may have augmented himself here and there, like so on and so forth. But like he's still not like a Dormammu or something like that. Like beings on that type of level, like Chthon is.
Right.
Like
right.
So like
but like I mean, yeah.
So many them opening up the multiverse in the multiple timelines and kind of essentially making it so that you can bring in anything. Like, I mean, I hate to see it. You can start seeing some of the bigger X-Men villains start like you can see an Apocalypse or something like that.
Sure.
These are threats. Like these are so many wild threats that can now suddenly be brought in, and it's just like, well, it's timeline split here, timeline split there. With the Eternals coming in, and the whole split theory, this can now be a whole thing of, well, what? Well, this was a divergent path in which, when the Eternals came, and the other people were actually born as mutants instead of, just beings with powers, or in this timeline, they were just straight called mutants. Period, point blank.
Interesting.
They were just straight up called mutants instead of like what they tried to classify Wanda as or anything like that. Like this time, they weren't just called like enhanced beings or enhanced people, whatever they called them in like the MCU before they acquired the rights for mutants. No, they're just mutants. Period, point blank. They were always mutants. Just in this timeline, this variant, this blah blah blah, they weren't called it. Like it gives them the ability to just straight up correct things without having to like make up a really good reason for it, like
or a good explanation, or even just waste time on a good explanation. Now you have the multiverse. This is your answer. They're from this universe, and they were mutants
the whole time. This and this one, they weren't called it.
I absolutely agree with you.
That could be.
And not to kind of overlay a lot of the things from the comic books, but that's essentially what the comic books does. You have, and I'll go ahead and put my order here together in a second. But that's what the comic book does. When they want to create another story, they want to take a character in a different direction. They just want to redefine something. They just say, okay, well, this is from a different universe.
Yeah,
it's from a different.
Pretty much. That's pretty much, yeah.
Because these rules may not apply here, but damn it, they apply in this universe that I just made up.
I forgot the name of it. Where Reed Richards is a villain in the Ultimate Universe, the Thinker or the Maker. That's what he calls himself. When he like wears this long helmet, and it's because he get like in his universe he ended up getting deformed and stuff like that. When they got hit by like the cosmic rays and stuff like that, like they're like in the Ultimate Universe was supposed to be like a more grounded to Earth Marvel Universe, more similar to like the cinematic universe is. Like, in fact, the cinematic universe
is its own universe.
Yeah, but it draws heavily from the Ultimate Universe and not more of the main Marvel Universe.
616, right?
Yeah. Like that's Ultimate Universe is where Black Nick Fury comes from.
Sure.
And then he just kind of became the mainstay.
I'm going to go ahead and be the oddball out. And let me just say this first. I agree with everything y'all said. I agree 100%. Loki is my number one right now. For everything y'all have said. And I'm not going to repeat it because I would just be saying the same things. I'm just going to put a little more emphasis on why I think Loki is my number one. Actually, why I know Loki is my number one to this point. If y'all go back, and Nate, I said this to you. If y'all go back to episode 3 or 4 of WandaVision, and I went on this whole tangent of is this that moment where we essentially have unlocked everything that the three of us have just talked about as far as the multiverse, bringing mutants in, the endless possibilities of all this kind of stuff. Could we see this? Could we see this? Could we see hell, I don't know. Could we see? I mean, we could see anything. We're going to, get different studios, Fox and Sony now intertwined. We're going to get characters that we haven't seen before. We're going to get definitions of, who are these people and who are just, all this kind of stuff that I'm kind of paraphrasing. Was that that moment? I think it's what I kept saying. Is this that moment? I think it's what I kept saying.
I
think we got that moment in Loki. I really think we got that moment. We got to see the moment. We got to see the timeline split. We got to see these sort of the branches splitting off in the multiverse. We got to see that moment from its core. Okay.
Right.
And it's just a matter of time now before we see what's to come. Who shows up? Who do we see? Who do we get access to? Who do we get these explanations about from? Whatever. We've seen essentially the key in the lock turn, and the door is now slightly pushed open. What's on the other side of the door? It's so exciting.
See, and it's,
I'm going to go back to Loki when I talk about WandaVision, and here's where I differ from you guys. Falcon and Winter Soldier is my number 2. Because it does something, and then I'm not really disagreeing with the two of you from the whole scale kind of thing.
Right.
But Falcon and Winter Soldier gives everything perspective, and it grounds everything to make things more heartfelt, realistic, humanistic, if you will.
Right.
And I think that's necessary. It's necessary. It's even scattered throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have stories with Thanos and Guardians of the Galaxy and all these kind of other outly world kind of things, but you have great stories like Captain America, Winter Soldier. You have Civil War. You have Black Panther, which are grounded. That's the stuff, believe it or not, that whether we want to believe it, kind of draws us in. That gives us that humanistic feel. I can relate to this. I get this. I understand this, and it makes us a little more susceptible to go into those outer realms and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not really saying one's. I'm trying not to say one's better than the other because they were all good.
Yeah,
but I think
I enjoyed all of them greatly, actually.
I loved every single one of them.
I just think Falcon and Winter Soldier. I guess what I'm saying is if we just had Loki and WandaVision, it would be good. We would have enjoyed it, but I just think we needed that Falcon and Winter Soldier to kind of ground us. Does that make sense?
I heard it.
Yes.
That gives us something to connect to. There was a lot of social things going on with Falcon and Winter Soldier that we can literally relate to. It's hard to relate to what's going on with Loki. It's hard to relate to what's going on in Falcon in WandaVision, but we can relate to. There's that direct connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. WandaVision is third, and I'm not taking anything away from that. You guys know how I feel about WandaVision. I will say this much, though. One of the reasons I like Loki... Oh, I gotta be careful when I say this. I always said one of the reasons I like Loki so much better, and that's not true. That's not true.
Right.
But one of the reasons I like Loki so much better than WandaVision is because there was so much hype. There was so much, who are we going to see? We're going to see this person. There was all these rumors. This means this means that. We're going to see Mephisto. We're going to see Stephen Strange. We're going to see all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And it didn't deliver. As good as it was, there was no disappointment. Okay? We can go back and forth all day on that. As good 100%. As it was, there was something lacking, right?
Right.
There wasn't anything lacking with Loki.
Nothing.
Yeah, I was saying WandaVision, we ended up never really getting a big bad. We got what's it called? We got Agnes, but she's not really.
And that's not bad. Like, it was dope how they did it. But I just think like Loki, with all the little Easter eggs about Kang and the TVA and could this, all that essentially manifested at the end. It didn't with WandaVision. So I'll leave it there. Not to make this one of those, hour-long videos that we do. Let's just kind of, man, give me your overall thoughts, 1 through 6 of Loki. Episode 1, takes place literally right after the events of 2012 in the Avengers, all the way through. We get to see the essentially the catalyst of what initiates the split, the multiverse. Give me. Somebody jump in here. Give me what your overall thoughts were.
I got you.
Takeaways, positives, negatives. Go ahead, run with it.
So, for me, I really, really like the show. So one of the biggest things that were a big positive to me, other than like the grand scale of how it affects everything on the MCU, was character development.
Yes.
Loki at the beginning of this series is literally a completely different person. Well, not a completely different person, but he is a changed person by the end of the series.
Sure he is. Yep.
He went from kind of the pompous asshole that you kind of always know Loki to be, like that he's just always been, to someone who actually cares for somebody who actually cares for his friends that he has decided are his friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is still Loki at the end of the day. Like, his characterism, his mannerisms, the way he's gonna speak to people is how he is. Like, that's Loki. But he, like, by the end of the series, he's just legit just a whole better person. Like, he's gotten past the outcast of Loki, and he's gotten past he's always a loser. Essentially, Loki. Like, by the end of this series,
right.
and I like that a whole bunch. In terms of the other characters, we get a bunch of great characters in it, from Mobius.
Sure.
I don't think Renslayer was fleshed out enough, but I feel like that's probably going to be a big thing in season 2 with the way she
100%
pieced out at the end.
The way she pieced out, yeah, for sure.
She said she's going to. I feel like we're probably going to get her character arc, because right now, I mean, she's just been a static kind of, we have to follow the rules because the rules are the rules, but she hasn't really. There's not a bunch of character arc. There hasn't been a bunch of character development beyond that for her.
Mm-hmm.
It started kind of at the end once things kind of started breaking down. And she started having, and she literally, like, it seemed like the thought of having to think for herself, and that she's been so involved in this whole, the TVA, that the thought of that suddenly being wrong, like, she couldn't even handle it. Like, like, she couldn't even process that the TVA was not the right thing to be doing. So I feel like at the end of the series, yeah, we're going to get a big character arc for her in season 2, which I think is great.
100%.
I feel like I loved seeing the relationship between Sylvie and Loki, where they started off as enemies, obviously with Loki trying to catch the other Loki, to relating to each other, to at some point in time kind of getting feelings for each other. I wouldn't even say it's love, because I mean they've only literally known each other for a few weeks,
days.
So, but they've grown.
I don't know if love and Loki can actually mix in a sentence just yet.
But I mean, it would make sense that Loki would be into himself. So,
right, of course,
100%.
It actually makes only perfectly sense.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
And then as for the story evolving from where the TVA trying to catch a variant Loki, and Loki, essentially Sylvie being the big bad for all of 2-3 episodes, to it transitioning to so quickly to beyond the TVA. And that whoever's actually been, that is the real, essentially, big bad of this story, and obviously setting up the big bad for future movies, shows, so on and so forth. Because obviously, I would love to see what's going to be happening in Loki season 2 here.
Oof.
Which they are
for sure
100% saying
it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to air, but I know they shot all 12 episodes.
Done?
Yeah, they shot
all 12 episodes together.
No way, it's done.
I don't know when it's coming.
I did not know that.
They shot all 12 episodes together. So there's going to be another 6 episodes.
No way. That's like this series is huge to the Marvel universe, man.
Yeah.
For them to make that many episodes, that's crazy. I mean, like WandaVision got close to that, but not 12. Yeah.
Nate, I want to ask you this question. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. If you're out there, go ahead. My bad.
No problem, boss. I was gonna say, And then that is just some of the actors just have become instant favorite characters for me. Like I very much enjoy Mobius's and Loki's dialogue together anytime they're talking to each other.
Sure.
It's like a natural conversation. They don't feel it doesn't feel like super scripted. It literally just feels like they're like two kind of like smart ass characters who know they're literally like smart ass characters.
Mm-hmm.
And they both play off it. Like they literally both lie to each other, but they both know that they lie to each other. And they've built a relationship on knowing that he's probably going to lie to me, but they know how to pick apart each other's lies at this point in time. So it's like they can't even lie to each other, though they constantly lie to each other. It's like, and I mean, like I said, Mobius is the one that was one of the few people who have actually become legit Loki's friend. Like Loki cares about this person.
Yeah.
And doesn't actually want something to happen. It's like, once again, like I said, that character development for Loki has been absolutely wild throughout this series. Like, he literally went from Tesseract stealing Loki that we've seen from the movies. Like, that's, like hopefully, like, people don't forget that, like, that's who we started with. We started with Loki, who just lost to the Avengers. So this is even the one from, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe that was killed by Thanos, who, like, kind of had already developed with Thor from their adventures in a couple of the other movies. Yeah. Like, so, like, he found out.
I mean, he got a microwave version.
Yeah. Like, so, like, this was a whole experience, and this is a whole different Loki. Like, this gives Loki the whole chance to, I mean, in this case, from how this series is going, this gives Loki the chance to be the hero of the series. Which is, I think it's pretty dope. Like,
it's crazy. Yeah, Loki, me too. I think that's dope.
There have been comic book things. There have been comic books where Loki has saved the world. Like, Loki has not always just played the villain. Like, Loki has been on the side of good plenty of times. I mean, there's even a comic book where Loki talks about all his past lives, where he says, I have destroyed the world. I have saved the world. He said, I have essentially done everything. Like, he was a Loki who has seen multiple, like, timelines and universes of himself. And, like, he's like, I've essentially done everything. Like, so, like, there's no limit on, like, what he can do and, like, what character he has to be. Loki isn't a set good or evil character. He's just whoever Loki decides to be that morning when he wakes up. And this is opening that up to be that.
Right.
That's pretty much it for me. I love the series, man.
Two things. One, any negatives? Anything you feel like you didn't get? Any? Oh, okay.
Yes. In terms of watching the show, fight scenes were whack for the most part.
Okay.
Like, and I understand, like, Loki is not, like, the combat expert.
Sure.
Neither is female Loki. Like, she's literally still not a cause.
She can handle herself.
She can get down.
Yeah, they were not hanging with her.
But look, the TVA look. The TVA agents would have got dusted by Captain America. They'd have never even captured him because they'd have lost in hand-to-hand combat.
Very true statement. They would have never even captured that man.
They probably never even purged Steve Rogers.
When he was a soldier, they would have never captured him.
They'd have got torched in combat.
No chance.
Yeah, they're good. Like, they're good fighters, but they would have
had, like, the predators, and they would have been like,
they're what I would call, like, your average level, like, entry level villains. Like what are who were the aliens that they were essentially all the Avengers were slain in the first movie? I always forget the name.
Chitauri.
Yeah. They were their ground level troops. Like, like, I'm sure they're good fighters to, like, the average individual. But if you're, like, a little bit trained, you typically can deal with them. And if you're highly trained, you typically deal with them in large masses at a time.
Yeah, I mean, Black Widow probably could have taken care of them, honestly.
Yeah, they weren't purging no super, like, they weren't purging the Steve Rogers or nothing like that. But yeah,
right.
But Loki can definitely hold his own. But I wasn't, and like I said, it's not like the action scenes, like, were super, like, bad or anything. It's just they didn't feel as, like, impactful as, like, others things that I've seen. Like, watching a fight. I mean, even in, like, Captain America and Winter Soldier, there were
Mhm.
fights where like between like Captain America and like when then and like Bucky Barnes and stuff like that. Like when they were fighting and stuff like that, and like they get the shield back. Like that fight was way. I guess it was like way more of a brutal fight. I guess than what you see in anything in kind of Loki at all. Like Loki's like he seems like a more even Sylvie. They seem more like finesse fighters the whole time, and it's never
Sure.
which is why I guess like I mean like it's not that I hated the fighting scenes, but they just didn't seem as super impactful as like if you're watching like a Thor or like
Sure. Gotcha.
or like a Captain America or something like that. And maybe it's like obviously like it's not in Loki's character to just be like a fighter at all times. Like so
Mm-hmm.
that's not really his thing, and it is their thing. But so they wouldn't emphasize as much. But yeah, I didn't feel like the fighting scenes were like. I didn't feel like they were up to par with like the normal Marvel fighting scenes. They weren't bad. They were much better than most other shows with fighting scenes. But in comparison to what I'm used to seeing, they seem like subdued.
Cool.
But
Right. Go ahead.
and I mean that's pretty much my kind of biggest takeaway from it. Like I wish some characters would have got a little bit more character development, like some of the other Loki variants. Like obviously I told you in my last link, classic Loki was my favorite Loki.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish I
love
told you
classic
before
Loki.
that I wished Kid Loki would have got a little bit more like backstory. Like he said he killed
Backstory, I
Thor,
know.
but they never
I know.
never
Never
explained.
elaborated
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. Like I told you that last time as well. Like I would have loved for them to have elaborated on some of these other Loki variants' backstory. I hate to see it,
So-
but I kind of even wanted to know like Crocodile Loki's like back. Like how do you even how?
So not to get too far ahead in the conversation, because you guys we always do this, and this is a unique thing, and we'll try and tie this in at the end. But I'll just kind of go ahead and give a little bit of foreshadowing. There's a second season.
True.
We might
True.
get all that. We might get all that.
Classic Loki might not be gone. I'm not convinced that guy's gone.
We might. Nate,
I'm
we
not
might
convinced
get
that guy's gone.
Nate,
No
we might
chance.
get all. We might get all that.
We might.
I don't know. We might. You know what I mean? I'll leave it there. Brennan,
Yes.
biggest takeaways. What did you enjoy most about it?
I mean, kind of.
And finish off by giving me a negative.
Got you. So, I mean, like, kind of starting off where, kind of a little bit off of what Nate said, just the character development, man. Like, character development was just crazy in this series for everybody. Like, you just had Loki fresh off defeated New York, literally glorious purpose left and right.
Yeah.
Just pretty much getting shamed, like, just saying, like, listen, there is higher, like, getting put in this place, like, there's a higher power above you, and facing that, like, helplessness. When he looked at the Infinity Stones, it was just like, wow, like I just can't do anything. Like this power is just like greater than anything I've ever seen. And just like seeing that microwave version of how his life was supposed to turn out, and just seeing him like just die, and like, you know, the interaction he had with his brother, and just just like seeing him transition from like the evil Loki that we saw in the first Avengers movie / Thor to now, where it's like he does start like developing like true connections and relationships with people, like on a level we've like never ever even seen. Like even like before he got killed by Thanos, we never even really saw any relationship like that. Like he still tried to backstab Thanos by stabbing that man in the neck. Like he had not really changed at all. But like you like have him like establish this like friendship with Mobius, where it's just like that was like his like best friend, like his brother essentially, like was genuinely like sad when he saw him get pruned, and like was so happy to see him when like you figure out like he was fine, you know what I mean? And like just the relationship with Sylvie, and like just also Sylvie's end too, her just always being alone and working by herself, and like, you know, her trying to be like eventually being able to trust another person other than herself. And you know, like you get to see that development between the both of them, and like them being able to trust one another. And Mobius as well, like going from just, you know, no questions asked, this is how it has to be, to eventually start asking questions like, why is it this way? Like, is this actually true? And him like seeing like the foresight, like, yo, the TVA might be a scam. Like, so you get to kind of see him like get his moral compass back as to be like, yo, like you took lives away from these people that were living normal lives. Like you know what I mean? Things like that. And so like Mobius like had his own transition, but like, that was like one really big takeaway was the character development from everybody. I just felt like everyone had a piece of character development. Another big takeaway for me was just the heartfelt moments in the show. Like there was really a lot for me. I don't know if like about everybody, but there was just like some really, really big heartfelt moments. Like, I don't know, like just even like that scene when they were on like the train and they're just talking about like what love actually is, and like him and like Tom Hiddleston in like the most beautiful, eloquent ways, like love is like a dagger.
Yeah.
And like, you know, one moment it's just like some poetry type stuff. I'm like, yo, like man, like it was just hitting deep right there. Like I just felt like that was a really good heartfelt felt moment. And then like just fast forwarding to like, you know, when Mobius got pruned and he's just like, yo, like, you know what I would like to, like, he was just talking about like what he would like to do. Like I would like to go back to my life before the TVA, all that stuff. Like that was like a heartfelt moment. You watched him like get pruned. Like it was heart wrenching. It really, really was like watching that. And then like the final moment at the very end when like you just see, you know, Sylvie and Loki fighting and like Tom Hiddleston's like actually shedding like almost actual tears over this fight. And he's like, I don't want to hurt you. Like, I actually don't want to betray you. Like, I'm not that person anymore. Like, I just want you to be okay. And like him, like just hearing him say that was just like, dang, like this guy, like he'd really changed. Like, and he cares about her and like not himself. Like this guy was given a silver platter, like by Miss Minutes, like, hey, you guys can both rule a planet and all this other stuff. And he's just like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to do that. She's like, oh yeah. Like the guy, like he who remains, he can give you this, that, and the third. You guys can rule this. And he's just like, yeah, that's not why I'm here. Like old Loki would have been like, okay, heck yeah, who do I need to backstab to get this to happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like
let me get my knife out.
Sign me up.
Like, yeah, like sign me up. Like, who do I need to backstab to get this to happen? But he's just like, yeah, no, I don't want any of that stuff. Like, I already decided that when this is over, I want to be with her and like figure it out, right? And like, so that moment was just really heartfelt. You just started seeing him shed like physical tears and like for a person not himself over her, just wanting her to be okay. That was very powerful, and that was like a really, really big heartfelt moment. And last but not least was just, I don't know, I felt like I don't know if you would call it animation, but just like and I guess animation of like the show was like incredible to me. Like WandaVision was really cinematography. Yes, sorry, that's like the proper term. WandaVision was great. Falcon and Winter Soldier was great, but like you had like Miss Minutes. Like, how was that even physically possible to be shown on like she was just like this virtual thing hopping on the desk and everything. And I'm like, yo, like Marvel, are we this advanced now? I'm like, yo, this is kind of incredible. Like she's like over here hopping on the desk, like making noises and shadows and stuff. I'm like, yo, what the heck? Like when Loki was trying to hit her, and she's just like jumping all over the place. I'm like, yo, what a virtual, like, how am I like, I just felt like that was mind blowing. And like, even like just the cinematography of the timekeepers, even though they were fake, like that looked really like, I don't know, for a show instead of not like a movie. I just felt like that cinematography was really, really incredible.
I wasn't a fan of the Green Time Lord. He looked like a damn Muppet to me with the mustache.
For what?
Brandon knows what I'm talking about. The three Time Lords, like the green one with the thick ass mustache. I was like, yo, why does he look like a fucking Chuck E. Cheese animatronic ass Oscar the Grouch looking motherfucker? And he's the one who got his head cut off too. I was like, look at him. They would.
I know. Oh yeah.
I had to target him too.
But yeah, I mean, like those were like the three kind of like big things for me that I took from the series that like really was like was just big, was really big. And in the negative, honestly, the only negative is just I didn't get to see Mobius on a jet ski. Crazy.
Preach.
Yeah. You know, I want to see that man Mobius on a jet ski.
He did never get his jet ski.
He never got to be on that jet ski.
He might, man. He might.
Yo, he deserves to, man. Mobius is so freaking dope, man. Deserves to be on that jet ski.
I would agree.
Deserves to be on that jet ski. Like, we got to see it. But since they announced season 2, I can't be too mad, I guess. Maybe
we might.
We might just see that.
There's so much that can actually happen here still. It's like
there's a lot. There's a lot.
I see. Knowing that there's a guaranteed season 2 opens up so much possibility for the show.
Bro, that ending was like the craziest thing ever. Like I wanted to watch it again immediately. I'm like, please give me this next episode.
I'm gonna try and go back. So I want to go back and just revisit the ending because there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack in episode 6. But let me just go ahead and kind of go through mine real quick. And I'm trying not to. I'm trying. I agree with everything both of y'all have said. The character development, the cinematography, Brennan, the scene where the two of them are sitting on Lamentus and like you're literally seeing the one planet crash into the other,
Yeah,
and their stuff just
yo,
flying. Like
seriously, it was amazing. It was
gives
really, really good.
gives me goosebumps.
It was really, really good.
Both of y'all have said character development to essentially take Loki from 2012, trying to take over the world, and then Mobius, and essentially showing him his timeline and stripping all that away from him. And essentially being a kid, he's looking at videos of his mom passing away. He's looking at his own. He's looking at his own death. I mean, and it was crazy because I'm watching that. I'm just like, yo, are they really going here? And I'm just like, oh, like,
right.
What else? I think and I may come back to this moment, but for me, I knew this was going to be a different show, and I knew it was going to be special in one key moment. When he opened that drawer and saw the Infinity Stones, and the one guy said, these are paperweights. And I'm just like, I was like, wait a minute. This is something different. This is going to be different. This is going to be unique.
Right.
This is going to be special.
Right.
Tom Hiddleston, I've talked about him before as an actor. I hope that guy gets everything, coming his way. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I've seen him in other things other than Loki. I think, he may, I think he's one of the best MCU characters out there.
No,
and
seriously.
There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of great ones. I did love the and I'm trying to think as they come to me. Owen Wilson, I talked about him. You guys, I agree with everything you're saying. I think this was a great role for him to even kind of resurrect his career. I hope something. This opens up a lot more doors for him. So yeah, the acting was on point. I love the transition with the guards. B-20, B-15. I love that sort of switch.
Yeah.
Like B-15 was trying to kill him, and then she got her eyes open by Sylvian, and she started to see things differently. I love that. Renslayer just played her part, her character to a T. You just have to have that person who's.
Sorry, let me cut you off, but that was another heartfelt moment when he was like, "Yeah, you betrayed me," and she was like, "No, you betrayed me." Yeah, and I was just like, "Dang!" I was just like, and she gave her reasons for that, and I was like, "Dang!"
Because to her, she's like, the TVA can't be wrong because there's no way we could have just been pruning people and essentially sending people to their death for years for the wrong thing. I can't. That would be too much for her to bear. Just like, yeah, you've been doing it because someone just kind of told you to, and you just kind of blindly followed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I loved looking at the TVA like its own sort of wherever they were and trying to figure out where the hell are they. That scene where Loki and Mobius are staring out that window and are looking at a different kind of civilization. You're going, what is this?
No, seriously.
So I love how Marvel just kind of cut this own little world inside a bigger, and it was crazy because it was done in such a way where you're asking questions: where are they? Who are they with? Who are these people? And you get this sort of grandiose answer at the end. We'll kind of touch upon that, but just the story itself, man, how it traveled through the 6 episodes, how it kept you involved. There was there wasn't like a filler episode. There wasn't any of that. The acting to complement the story. Where the story went, obviously how it sets up so many different things, how it connects stuff from the past, how it even moves forward, past so many things, with Thanos. The idea of getting just kind of the little bit of glimpse with the multiverse and seeing the different kind of Lokis and their stories. Sylvie, you know, in a lot of ways, I thought she was, you know, maybe the strongest character of the show. Even as good as Tom Hiddleston was, but her story was so unique and so dynamic that it even grounded Tom Hiddleston's Loki. You know what I mean? Because she didn't really get a chance to like really grow up. She, you know, she's just been on a run. She's been on her own her entire life. The sort of dynamic between the two of them and them learning how to trust each other and
he said, and him. Oh my gosh, him just saying like, I can't trust, or no, he said you can't trust and I can't be trusted.
Yeah,
tough.
And kind of what I said before. I know I'm missing a couple things. But to just have the show deliver the way we wanted WandaVision to deliver, with all the hype, all the Easter eggs. Oh, and Easter eggs! My God, Nate, you and I talked about all the Easter eggs in episode 5. There were so many Easter eggs. It just, man, like it almost, you know, it's one of those things where it's like it's literally like Thor's hammer at the end of was that Iron Man 2?
Oh, right, when they were going underground.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Thor frog. You know,
Thor's hammer was there too.
Yeah, Thor's hammer was there too. But I'm just even going back, like a lot of those Easter eggs that we saw in episode 5. Like, man, I wonder. Oh boy, I wonder. You know, we talk about the head of the living tribunal. Like, was that just put there, or is that put there for a reason? You know what I mean? So, I kind of cut it short there, but you know, it just delivered. The whole thing delivered. It delivered in a way that I think we needed a Marvel series to deliver.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a lot of hype around this one, but it delivered. A lot of the Easter eggs, a lot of the Easter eggs, a lot of the little subtle hints paid off. A negative, I would have loved to have seen. Maybe one last time. Maybe it was a variant, maybe whatever. I just would have loved to have seen another sort of ruthless, you know, glorious purpose, Neil kind of Avengers, that first Avengers. I just would have loved to have seen him one more time. I love seeing him, this new direction he's going in, and maybe we'll get that, who knows. But I just would have loved, that's why, and I guess we can start talking about episode 6 now. My pick for who was in that castle was another variant of Loki, but like the ruthless, cutthroat variant of Loki that was just like, who would have looked at our Loki and be like, yeah, you went soft. You know what I mean? That I would have loved to. I'm in no way, shape, or form disappointed by the ending we got, but I just would have loved to have seen, you know, and I just keep going back to Avengers when Loki has his staff and he's talking to the people and he's just giving it, you are all beneath me. You know, does an ant have a quarrel with a boot? Like that Loki. I just wish we would have got to see that one more time.
I'm with you on that. That Loki was iconic.
Man, oh god. Ooh. You know, you what did you call him? You Muling Quim or something like that. Anyway. Man, let's just go ahead and the ending. Nate, you and I talked about it a little bit.
So
we get Immortus, we get Kang the Conqueror, we get all that kind of stuff, man. Brennan, go ahead, man. Tell me.
End.
When you see the elevator door open,
yes,
take me right from there.
So when I see the elevator door open, I think automatically like this is Kang the Conqueror, but as like, you know, as he who remains, quote unquote, he continues to like, you know, introduce himself. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this exactly? Like, is this like a version, like a different version of him? Like I was like perplexed to like as to why he was acting like so nice and so like it was interesting. And as he kept like talking and like kind of telling, the reason why he can't be defeated and like why all that, like I was just like, yo, like what is this guy's what is his plan? Like this guy completely has a plan. Like he's up to no good. Like I don't know if he's quite, Kane the Conqueror yet, but he's definitely like up to no good. I don't trust this guy. But I mean, like it was just interesting as he was just kind of like explaining like his situation and what happened, I guess, in like the multiversal war that keeps being discussed,
Sure.
like with him and the other Kangs and how like they got to like through different different timelines got to get introduced to each other at the same time, and how the other ones are bad versions of him that tried to like take over everything, and like how he's the reason why like they're all at bay, which I just felt like that whole story was just like untrue. You know what I mean? And the reason why is because I believe he wanted Sylvie to kill him.
Mm.
He wanted Sylvie to kill him, or he wanted one of them to kill him.
Mm.
Like he kept talking about how like, yeah, take my place, take my place, take my place. But as soon as Sylvie and Loki start fighting, he's like propped up in his chair, like, oh snap! Like the movie started. Like, let me eat my popcorn. Like,
But I think that's for a different reason. I think
you think?
I think he's seen the time and the time that, like he said, regardless of their situation they make, if they kill him there, a bunch of him will essentially pop back up into the timeline because they're going to start another multiversal war because he's not there to keep everything in check. He'll be born in the 31st century because that's where he's from. He'll essentially be back in this seat because you killing him is kind of like the Flash thing, the Flash remnant. You killed...
Really?
Yeah. Like, this is kind of like in the Flash. You essentially killed the version of him that's from the future, but you're from the past. So he's still going to be born, and whatever his cycle that happened to him is going to happen again. So that's why
you're really not affecting anything.
Yeah. So he's like, that's why he said, I'll end up back here in this same spot doing this again. So he's like, kill me or don't kill me. Like, it's...
He might end up Vision dying twice, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Nate, you and I talk about... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brennan. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. But like when he gets stabbed, like he looks at Sylvie, winks, and says, see you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not him, but the other variants.
Right. So like it's almost like he like how much resistance did he not want to be killed, to be honest?
He said it. That's why he said it didn't matter to him. Like their decision was inconsequential to him because he said essentially if he dies, he's just gonna end up back in the same spot because time is just gonna repeat itself. If they don't kill him, he gets to live a life finally for the first time, and he said he's lived like 1 million lifetimes. Like it will be the first time that he would be living life genuinely not knowing what's happening. I feel like when he gave that speech about essentially reading time as a young man's game, I feel like he was genuinely feeling that. Like he's been by himself for so long that he wants an out, and there is out one way or another.
He says it goes, man. Hey, this is a young man's game. I've been doing this too long. Even knowing he's going to end up right back there. You know what I mean?
But at least it's the opportunity for him to get a chance to get it out, essentially. If not, he just ended up back in the same job. Like,
I see. Okay, I see.
Here's what I want to wrap up because I know we're probably about an hour right now.
Yep.
Here's what I want to wrap up.
Sure.
You're walking down the street.
Walking down the street.
Okay, you bump into somebody. And the guy says, "Hey, man, thinking about this Loki series, and you have just the amount of time to tell him one scene in the movie to get him, he or she, hooked and convince them, yeah, you need to dive into this. You get to pick one scene from this series. One scene. Go.
Introduction of the
What is-
TVA. Easy. Because that is the nexus point to everything that happens.
Okay.
The introduction, or even more
Wait.
specifically,
So you talking about Miss Minutes introduction in TVA?
no, literally when they first take Loki and he sees it and they kind of open it up and you see that he's in a whole other place.
Okay. Cool.
I feel
Brandon.
like that is a hooker just from there because that's kind of what I mean. So got me.
Brandon.
For me,
go.
it's the very beginning scene where like Loki gets hit in the face like 20 times in a second.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about, when he's like on the like desert planet and then he gets like smacked and like it's like frozen in time and it's just like all the hits like hitting him. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that scene because you're just like, yo, like what is this show? Like what is going on right now? And like it just, I don't know. I feel like that was just like a very like polarizing part, and I feel like that's just interesting, like for you to want to continue to watch it because it was just like, I don't know, it was like for like a sci-fi kind of crazy like Marvel thing. I felt like that moment was just really dope, and like I feel like it just make you continue. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, like similar to kind of like what Nate said. I mean, like just like the introduction to TVA, but I would say like Miss Minutes, just kind of describing what the TVA does and how like controlling the sacred timeline and how everything needs to be. Like, I feel like that's a dope moment describing like just everything and the layout of a sacred timeline and not having like the timeline be messed up. I feel like that's like a cool concept, and I feel like people would kind of gravitate towards that.
Okay. I have one. And you only get it in episode 6. Nate, you and I talked
Episode
about
6.
this briefly. The intro, the new Marvel intro, with you hear all the different quotes from different movies.
Oh shoot! I forgot about that. Oh, that was the cleanest thing ever. I honestly forgot about that. That was the most fire intro Marvel has ever come out with.
That new intro leading into, and I haven't had a time, Nate. I said it when you and I talked. I'm going to do it. I am, because there's a lot of stuff in there, but I may be wrong. This is my disclaimer. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me be wrong. I have no problem being wrong. But there are some other voices in that opening that are not from the MCU universe.
Oh, there's many of them. Is that what you're saying?
No, there's a lot of voices in there that we're familiar with, but there's there's some other voices in there that we know who they are, but they're not from the MCU universe. They're Marvel characters. See, I don't want to say it and be like, "Oh no, that was somebody else's voice. That was somebody else's voices." I don't want to say that and be wrong.
What
but
did I miss?
Okay, I'll put it this way. You hear some Fox characters in that opening. Go back and listen to it. Go back and listen to it. You hear some voices in there, and you're like, wait a minute. They don't belong here. There's some new voices in there. You got to stand real close. You got to stand. You guys
miss that?
You guys, I missed it the first time, and I went back and I was like, wait a minute. That's no. They're not from the MCU universe.
Right.
They're Marvel characters.
Mm-hmm.
They're Marvel characters for sure, but they're not from the MCU.
I did not even notice that.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that intro was just that intro was amazing.
Man,
honestly,
go back, man. Put on a set of headphones.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Get real turned up.
I don't think I had headphones on when I was.
I wish there was a way to like slow it down.
Yeah.
There's some other. Yes, you get Anthony Mackie and Falcon. You get Star-Lord. You get Chris Hemsworth. You get Chris Evans. There's some Robert Downey Jr. You get Higher, Further, Faster, Captain Marvel. You get all the ones we know.
Right.
But there's some voices mixed in there. We know, but they're not from the MCU. And for them to mash them in there together.
Whoa.
Right. I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
Guys,
Yo,
I think that's
I
where. Guys, I
Marvel,
think that's where we're going to end it tonight.
I can't with Marvel anymore, man. I can't do it. They're just too good. I don't understand.
If you haven't seen Loki, 6 episodes of nothing but pure entertainment,
check it out.
Definitely go back and watch it.
To watch it.
Check it out, honestly.
Somebody,
really check it out.
Probably comment.
I have a theory before we go. Now, I have a quick little theory. This is not my theory, but I did hear this somewhere. All right. So I'm going to announce this. There is some speculation that Loki and WandaVision can be very much connected because they're speculating. They're speculating as the timeline was branching out and Wanda is reading the Darkhold. Because of those multiple timelines, she's hearing her children in one of those timelines.
100%. I agree with you. I'm with it.
And
yeah, I'm with it.
Because being a nexus point of magic is someone who your magic exceeds just the universe. You're a nexus point for all magic, multiverse, everything. So she's
as those timelines were branching out, and you had all those multiple different versions. Obviously, we had the intro with possibly other Marvel characters and other timelines, and all the universe. And you have Kang talking about the multiverses, how they stack on top of each other. As they were expanding that and breaking that, that's the moment when Wanda hears
I agree with you.
My children are somewhere else over here.
Yeah.
And that's how that connects.
Makes perfect sense to me. I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
If so, that is freaking crazy, and I can't wait for Doctor Strange.
And I believe to your point, Barry, Marvel would do it that way. When it's expanding, she would hear her kids' voices.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. That makes perfect sense. All right, guys, we're going to end it there. As far as Marvel, DC streaming, we got the What If series coming next, which is probably the one other than Loki that I've been most excited about.
I know, Chris.
We're going to get that. All that is based around the multiverse, so we're going to get that as an animated series. Stay tuned for that. I think we get August. I'm not sure on the dates.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen Brandon. I know you're in the process of doing it. We're going to break down Black Widow. And talk about that movie.
Right.
We got episode 11 and 12 of Bad Batch coming. So definitely stay tuned. Stick with us. We got a lot more comment coming.
We got some maybe Mandalorian season 3 confirmation.
Hold on, real quick, because I want to show love to DC. What do we got? What do we got with DC? What do we got?
Well, I know. Kind of just ended.
James Gunn, Suicide Squad. I just
Suicide Squad
for today.
Yeah, we got Suicide Squad. You said Flash episode 7, season 7 just ended.
7. Well, actually, no. The last episode is on Tuesday. Actually.
Okay.
I might do
I think you should.
Season refresher of the Flash. There's a lot going on in the Flash right now. Actually.
Superman and Lois is back on, so let's not make this one-sided. We love DC just as much as Marvel. But yeah, stay tuned for all that all that content. Excuse me. Speaking of comments, feel free to leave them below. Like, comment, subscribe, share the videos.
Read them.
Let us know what you guys think, and I'll pass the mic. Any final thoughts to you? If not, Nate, take us home.
I think that's going to be it for tonight, guys. Once again, we always appreciate anybody who stayed through and watched the whole video. Please like and subscribe whenever you get the chance. We greatly appreciate it. It helps us actually stay relevant and helps you see these videos when they release. Thank y'all. And y'all have a good night.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.